What is up, guys? Lord Nick here, bringing you another League of Legends related video. In this video, guys, I'm going to be doing a quick jungle guide, or by quick, a basic jungle guide for those who are new to the game. So, note, we will be discussing in this your starting jungle item, be it the Ember Knife or the Frost Knife or Hailblade. Um, and with this, we'll also be going over the three general basic paths that you can start the game with. This is to introduce you to these things, by the way. This is not to break down the fundamental reasoning behind all these. There will later be an intermediate and an advanced guide that I will be releasing, still related to this topic. And each of those is for you to progress past the basic beginner level. This video is to introduce somebody who has no idea what they're doing to start the jungle, to give you kind of a concept of one of the couple of paths you can do. And I will be, as I'm doing these paths, I'll hopefully be able to break them down for you guys and give you an idea as to what paths you're going to want to take in doing so. So to start off, guys, I took the Ember Knife. Ember Knife is generally a good smite item to take in case you want to actually, be fighting people. The otherwise you would take for more controlling of a situation, or if your person lacks like early CC and you need to be able to like gank more, the Hailblade is generally going to be a little bit better probably for that type of situation. Note, I'm not going to be doing these as efficiently as clear as possible. So first off, guys, one quick tip for anybody as well is that you generally want to start when you are new on the bot side of the map. And the reason is, in a normal game, you will have your allies be assisting you in this type of clear. They will help you at your first camp, and in helping you, you want to start where your allies are generally going to be more numerous, which will be the bot side of the map. So next up, guys, let's actually talk about the actual clear that I am doing currently. The clear that I am currently doing is known as the full clear. So a full clear is where you are trying to maximize your efficiency to clear out every single one of your camps and still contest the Scuttle Crab. You will path relative to how you need to clear these camps most effectively, and potentially do these in a route that allow you to position yourself to be at the crab that you are aiming for. You have a goal of where you're trying to get to in this clear, by the way. If you don't know what that goal is, your goal is to get from this starting on bot side is to get to the top Scuttle Crab here, and you have to do it in the most efficient manner possible, because at 315 is when that crab comes up. So note, this is kind of me just kind of taking it slow and not doing it pretty optimally in how I should be doing it. So I've only cleared 3 camps. Lee Sin is also not a champion that is particularly good at this type of clear, as he generally benefits from the clear we'll be talking about next. But in this case here, what I'm still doing is going to be doing the full clear. So I started with my red camp, and I then went to my Krugs. And the reason you go to your Krugs if you're on the red camp, or to your Gromp if you're on the blue camp, is that is the camp closest to your bot lane, which means if somebody goes for a cheese gank, you can then be in position to effectively attack them and prevent the gank if possible. Or conversely, if nothing does happen, it then puts you in line to go to the next closest camp that's going to be closest to the camp after that. And the reason that's important is the same reason we don't take, giant roundabout routes when traveling. This is all about doing as fast and as quickly as possible to gain small incremental advantages. The faster I get my clear done, the faster my camps spawn again, the faster I can get to my next camps, the faster I can get to ganking potentially. So this clear is not necessarily the strongest one if you want to be ganking a lot early, but what it does allow for is the most efficient way to get the most camps out of it. Now note, a person who is better for this would maybe, instead of going from bot camp straight to the Scuttle Crab, most likely would be going from your bot camps. So you go, and let's rehearse where we would start again. All right. So for this one, just to get out there in case you didn't follow what I just did, generally what you would do is you would start on your red buff, getting the leash from your bot lane. You would then come all the way down here and do your Krugs. After you do your Krugs, you would move up to do your Raptors. In most situations, you would smite this because this is where you need HP. Generally because these guys just will do a decent amount of damage and take a very long time otherwise to clear, so it's always best to save your smite to clear this camp. Next, you'd move to your Raptors. From your Raptors, you would then move to your Wolves, to your Blue, if you have the time for your Blue. Now, again, like I said, 3:15 is the time to note, because that is when that Scuttle Crab is up. That is when you want to get over there, because in most cases, some people will take a little bit time past 3:15 to get there, and if you're there first already doing it, unless they think they can fight you, you can generally get that crab. And if they think they can fight you and they have a lot of confidence in it, and you were brand new to the jungle, my recommendation is, even if you've spent a little bit of time on that crab, just give it up. And if they keep following you, just back off a bit. But if they don't follow you, then what you want to be doing is just finishing your clear on this side. So in this case, you know, if you, let's say you did do Wolves and you finished your Blue and you can get here about 3:20, that's still a pretty good time to get here. Generally, I also recommend, if you go from the Blue, use this to sweep, because most people will be coming down this way. If you don't see them this way, then that means what you want to do is, if you're going on the crab, you want the crab to be pushing this direction, because the only direction they'll be coming from will be over here. And this gives you as much isolated space as you can to try to run down and beat this crab as fast as possible. Another key thing to note is, if you have a smite available, which you should, your second smite should be available for this crab, and you don't have any CC to break that shield, you can use your smite to break that shield, and it will drop it to about 600 HP, which means one full combo from a champion, most of the time, will kill it. So even if you have CC, it might also just be beneficial to smite it to begin with. That smite does a lot more now by breaking that shield ahead of time, opposed to having to use one of your damage abilities to break the shield, and your damage doesn't do any damage to it. Breaking the shield with the smite still does the smite damage to it. So it might be more beneficial just to smite it than actually CCing it. So with that, this is the basic clear. This is basically what you want to do. And for those that didn't pick up on it, this clears for those that want to farm more. So you're going to be looking at, you know, generally champions that like to farm more. Morgana, Rumble, Udyr, some of the top picks right now. This is kind of their path. And the reason this is their path is this is something that they can do relatively fast. On those type of champions, you're looking to finish this clear by just sub 4 minutes, and that's including Scuttle Crab and potentially even the second Scuttle Crab. This clear allows you to finish all of your jungle in an efficient pattern so that your opponents can't necessarily actually stop you from contesting the second crab, which means then you can potentially start doing this, or you can start your second clear, like how I came back down here and did Krugs and Chickens, pretty fast. And that means you can start getting a gold advantage, you can start being ahead, and when you're ahead, it makes your ganks easier. So all in all, this is just for maximizing a gold advantage more so than maximizing like early pressure advantage, right? This is more about you more so than about your team. So next up, guys, we will be then going over the 3 camp clear, and we'll be discussing the benefits of that one real quick. So 1 second. All right, guys. So the next one that we will be doing is actually called a 3 camp clear. And so on a 3 camp clear, one, you might be changing the skill order if you're using a similar champion or the same champion that you did for the full clear, just because you want to, you know, do whatever ones are best against these single target camps, because you're going to be doing your red buff to your blue buff to your Gromp if you're on this side of the map, and a blue to Gromp to red on the other side of the map. Again, still start where your bot lane is, because it still gives you the benefit of having 2 people opposed to 1 people helping you out. 2 people opposed to 1 people, 2 people instead of 1 person. And again, it allows to maximize speed and clear. This one's job is not necessarily going for early scuttle grabs, though. What this camp's clear path is for people that want to effectively clear early. Note, I did smite on the red buff earlier just because I wanted speed, but generally what I would be doing is I'd be saving my smite for this so I can finish the Gromp pretty fast, because you can finish both the red really fast because you have a leash, and then you do the blue relatively fast just because you are. So now what this is now set me up for is pre-3 minutes. I can look, I still have 15 seconds before scuttle, so what I can do is I could be looking for ganks. So this would be a bad gank just because of how my lane's pushing out, because there's just minions. But let's say that their minions are where yours are, and you could just come up here and attack. or better yet, how mid's kind of stuck in the middle here, this would actually be a pretty good spot for you to attack. And it gives you the option to attack either of these two lanes. You have enough time just to get in about one gank, and you can come down here, do the Scuttle Crab, and then you can either do one of a couple things with this after this part of the clear. So one, you've taken your Scuttle Crab. I probably should have highlighted, how you can smite it. We'll go to the other crab and show that off. That's not part of the clear, but you can either take the crab and look for another gank, which Lee Sin is good at. Champions similar to Lee Sin will generally take this path. So Lee Sin, Rek'Sai, Elise, people generally like this type of path. You can come down here, do your wolves, then go and clear your bot side and back. So it still turns into relatively kind of like a full clear, but the difference is that instead of greeding for the money and gold to get that small item advantage right off the bat and get your camps to start clearing, because that's your kind of goal, this one allows you to essentially just come through and do a potential gank early. This is much more for those that want to do that type of route that will allow them to do early ganks, get a lot of pressure onto the map, potentially get kills and stuff. People like Lee Sin, Rek'Sai, and Elise all need to snowball a little bit early because they're kind of early game oriented champions. So if you are an early game centric champion, this is kind of the path that you will go for. And like I said, your options after your first gank is generally to again go for your top crab. Most of the time you are kind of an early duelist, so nobody will really contest you for it. I always recommend keeping your CC up now, since Smite does break it, and like I showcased down here, it takes away the shield and still does the Smite damage, so it does a total of 1100 damage now if you start with the Smite. With Lee Sin, Elise, and Rek'Sai, you have an execute ability, so might as well just save your CC abilities to then execute, to use on somebody who comes by, or saving some of your big power abilities to be able to fight. And lastly, guys, we're going to be going over one more clear, and this is a 5-camp clear, and hopefully after that you guys will have a general understanding of the basic clears. So just 1 second while I get that all set up for you guys. Alright guys, so we are now looking at a 5-camp clear. A 5-camp clear is a clear that cuts out usually one of your camps, because there are 6, haha. But usually that camp we're cutting out is the Krugs. The Krugs takes the longest time to take for any jungler. It doesn't matter what jungler you are, unless you're Ivern and you can put your Friend of the Forest down and smite it, which again, it is just a very inefficient one for him at that point, because all you're getting is the gold for the first 2 ones. You don't get it for the small ones. It's kind of shitty for him. But other than that, oh my goodness, can my mouse adapt? There we go. This clear is specifically for people that like doing stuff similar to a full clear, but are slower at doing it. So people in the likes of potentially tanks, for instance, Gragas, Zac, Sejuani, people in those type of categories. While yes, they're very good at killing these multi-minion camps because they won't take a lot of damage from them, their initial clear is just a little bit too slow to indicate wanting to do this. And the only reason why I say it's a little bit too slow is that you just generally want to avoid this type of clear, because this particular camp will take up a lot of time, so you won't be able to do a full 5 camps anyways. Now note, I have adapted it so that on like Gragas, I still take that camp. I still come down here and take my Krugs, even though it takes me a lot of time. It's just something I've gotten used to doing, and once you get your pathing a bit more efficient and your kiting of camps a bit more efficient, you can then actually, kind of add some adaptations to your clears to find ways to make these better. But for a basic clear, we're going to skip the Krugs, because that in a 5-camp clear, that is generally the camp that gets skipped. So you'll move over here to your chickens afterwards. Again, Lee Sin isn't particularly, like, phenomenal at clearing chickens, but he's not terrible at it either, nonetheless. And then, once you've cleared this, your next goal is you can then go over here, you clear your wolves. Look, we're at 220 now. So skipping this gives us an entire 30 seconds to potentially clear our entire blue side, which means that I can easily get through these camps, or should be able to get through these camps. Note, if I had a leash, this would go even a little bit faster, because I'd finish my red even sooner and quicker than I did over there. I still have my smite, so this means I can either smite my Gromp if I want to, or my blue. In this particular case, because I don't have a leash, it did take me about an extra 5-10 seconds to get all this done, so I am only going to be able to successfully get a 4-camp clear off before the scuttle is up. But this is very similar to a full clear. It's just usually a little bit faster because, well, you're skipping a camp or two, right? And in this case, if in the 5-camp clear you only get 4 camps off, it's still relatively okay. Your goal is to still be able to get to this at 3:15, like how I did just now. So even if you're clearing by yourself, like I have here, you can still get to this crab on spawn and be okay to fight it. Yes, if your opponent does manage to steal this from you, they will hit level 4, and from taking this scuttle here, you're not going to get level 4. You see that? Look, not level 4. So just be wary if you do have to do 4 camps over the 5. It's still not that bad. You'll be level 3 to their level 3 most likely. Or if they're doing a full clear, you can get here first and actually take the crab again still before they do anything. That will then generally mean that the enemy jungler will look for a gank because there's not a crab here for them to fight, or they will just immediately run to the other side of the map to do the other crab. And looky there, at about 4 minutes, I've still finished 5 camps and a scuttle. I am level 4. I can look for gank. And that's kind of the point of this, is to be able to, again, efficiently position yourself so that you can get most of your camps done and still be able to contest a scuttle crab. To wrap up this kind of video, guys, we'll talk just a little bit more about Ember Knife and Hailblade. So what each of these things allow for, Ember Knife says that you will gain more, you will do more damage to your opponent will do less damage to you as long as you have smited them with the red. So this is generally good for people who want to skirmish more or fight more. So if you are going to be fighting the enemy jungler a lot or be fighting people in the river a lot, you generally want to take Ember Knife. Meanwhile, if you are looking for team fights or chase down potential or lockdown potential, let's say you're Morgana and you have one specific CC you need to be able to land, Hailblade might be better because it will slow them, and it works on everybody. Even people immune to slows will be slowed by it because what it does is it steals their movement speed opposed to slowing them. So this is a pretty useful ability for anybody. So if you have a combo you need to set up a little bit better, well, Hailblade might just be the one that's better for you opposed to taking Ember Knife, which is more for dueling power. So just kind of be aware of that for stylistic. Certain champions you will start to notice as you get more efficient at your clear, you can change your starting items some. So instead of taking the pots, maybe some of your champions are actually okay with taking control wards, or you take nothing there so you have 150 gold, so you only do 1 clear to be able to come back and get whatever boots you want. There's a lot of different things you can do to make yourself, find your own niche to it. But for the actual pathing, guys, these are the 3 main beginner's paths. In the next video, I will be discussing some adaptations to these and adding in a couple more paths. And then the advanced video, which is going to be the right after the intermediate. Intermediate's only going to add a few things. The advanced video is going to add a lot of things. We're going to be talking about all the different ward placements you should be doing. Different little cheese things you can do at the beginning to start gaining a lot more incremental advantages, stuff you can do to be able to track your enemy jungle more. So as this kind of series progresses, outside of just pathing, we're going to be talking about stuff that's kind of attached to your pathing, right? All these other core things that we talked about in the last video, well, those are going to be added together into the next couple of videos to kind of build up to it. And then eventually down the line, hopefully sometime maybe next week, I am planning to do a how-to gank video as well to kind of give you an idea of ways you should be ganking and ways you shouldn't be ganking, just so you can kind of keep those in mind, and I might break those down into something like this as well, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So hopefully, guys, you found this a little bit helpful. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, if there's something else you want to know about this, leave it down in the comments below. Leave a like and subscribe to see more content that I'll be releasing over the next week. As always, guys, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day. See you guys.